Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We're having two streams, one on Facebook Live and one on Zoom. And you are welcome to use Zoom if you would like to interact with me live. You can type your questions or ideas right in the chat of Zoom. Or you could ask questions later offline by going to Twitter, by going to Substack page where we're now publishing newsletters, and to YouTube where we're publishing the recordings of these seminars. So today we have a very interesting presentation talking about something which no one has talked before on official mainstream media. Now I'm talking here about spike of deaths in 2021. This is very interesting. We're talking about not 2020 when pandemic was really at its highest, but the 2021 and in quarter three, quarter four, meaning from June and later, meaning after the vaccination has started with general population. So what do we see here? That the article on CBC states New Brunswick Health Minister Dorothy Shepherd told last week she doesn't know why deaths spiked in the province last summer, but she doubted there were undetected COVID fatalities. Yes, we in fact know there were very few COVID fatalities last summer and fall. So what do we see here? A mysterious spike of excess deaths that began last summer as the Delta variant began spreading in the province. So 6 more deaths than normal over the 20 period of time. You remember on Wednesday, we actually talked about that. We showed you our graph which showed deaths during the pandemic before vaccination, before on the left hand side of vertical bars and after. And we could go by each province and see when there were more deaths happening, before vaccination or after vaccination, right? We have created a web application called Death Tracker. And you would see on our main page, we have now this new link here. Actually, it's the old link, but I have renamed it to Death and Access Death Tracker. We can now interactively track not only death, but access death. And we will open them just as we have done it a month ago when I had my first Facebook Live interaction with you. I was showing you how to use this app, and we will be doing it now with you. I'll show you how you can use this app to visualize deaths over time. We will select right away on this left hand side just total all causes of death. Okay, because originally this application was built to track various causes of death. And in fact, you know what? We will keep total death and we will keep what is called ill-defined. So I push Control and click, and this allows me to select multiple causes. So I will put ill-defined and also information unavailable. And just to make it simple, I will select Canada, and I will select one Atlantic province, New Brunswick. I will select Ontario, and let's say Alberta. Now, what do we see here on this screen? We see per million per week number of total deaths for Canada, now in New Brunswick, in Ontario, and Alberta. Actually, we do see that per capita or per million, New Brunswick have actually more deaths than in Canada, right? And in Ontario, Alberta, about the same as average in Canada. We also see that this green line here, it shows you ill-defined death. And you would see they keep going up starting from the pandemic. And pandemic is indicated by this vertical dash line in here. So that's when the pandemic officially was launched, if we can say so, January 1st. But it's where this new cause or category was added, which is called information not available. So in the past, there was no such a variable category called information not available. But since January 2020, they have added it, and you would see that this has become, it would grow over time. And specifically, it would grow after the beginning of vaccination, which is marked by this vertical line in here, January 2021, I put it. And you would see that, for example, in New Brunswick, it goes really high. In Ontario, it also goes high, and Alberta has also very high. But see, it's very, very interesting. You would see in 2021, first, very few people were vaccinated, and these are what is considered to be high-risk population. And you would see, starting right from there, we would see a spike in information not available. So that's what occurred, but they do not provide the cause. This is very unusual. A person died, and they do not say why, right? It never has happened in the past. And now, mind you, we are already over a year after January 2021, right? So can you imagine someone died and you do not know what he or she died from? And we were talking about this last month. Imagine if someone was shot by a killer somewhere, how much outcry would we have all over the country in all newspapers? A child or anyone was shot, and we are trying to find the killer just for one person. Now, what do we see here? We see many people are dying from some unknown mysterious cause, and they are not able to identify this cause. And that's what we would see here. The high spike goes after the vaccination has started with the general public in Canada. And that's where this reference is talking about this huge number of deaths after specifically June. And this is the number which we have visualized in here in New Brunswick. You see, so these are total deaths, and it goes up. Now, in this chart, it shows you deaths per week total for age from 0 to 44. And as you would remember, some of those who watched our video seminar a month ago, we even archived those images in this link. So we would open this link in a new tab, and you would see it's 26th of April. We have uploaded those images, and we have access that for all age categories from 0 to 44, from 45 to 64, and for all ages. So when you click on all ages, you would see the same graph, which is plotted by our app. Now, to make it easier to visualize, we smooth the data. And in the app, there is a checkbox here, which says average over several weeks. And it would smooth over, for example, right now, 4 weeks, but we can smooth it over 6 weeks to make it really smooth over time, so it's easier to compare deaths happening now with deaths happening before pandemic. And this is where the beauty comes. This is the new feature which has been added at the end of March. It's called Show Access Death. Click here, seems And what it shows you, historical number of deaths averaged over 2 years before pandemic for those selected provinces, right? In black color, and then in red color, you still see your actual deaths which have happened in each of those 4 selected provinces. Isn't it beautiful to visualize it this way, ladies and gentlemen, I would say? Because then you could see that, look, in New Brunswick, we didn't have any excess deaths before vaccination. This red line pretty much coincided with black line, and it's only after the vaccination it started going up and then dramatically up. Now, you would note that different provinces have a different lag in delay between the date when they report the data and when the data was actually entered. Now, this is where the most fascinating thing is happening now. After we have showed these images to you, and after I have shown you 2 days ago on Wednesday, these posts on CBC, I really wanted just to update this chart. So I went to this website, Statistical Canada website, and I thought, you know, now we're in May, and this graph was built in April. So I thought, okay, well, we have one more month of data, so probably we would see where this red line would continue. And I was wondering whether it would be continuing going up or maybe straight or maybe going down. Now, do you know what I have seen there? This is what I have seen you, and I put it in the newspaper last night. Okay, instead of seeing more data, this is for age 0 to 44, and I'll make the screen bigger here. This is very important. I'll make the screen as big as you could see here. So this is what we have plotted a month ago. Look, it goes up, and just for a comparison, normally, historically, you would have about 5 deaths of young people under 45 years of age dying weekly. Now, for last year, after June, remember, after June, after the 6 months, June is it's the 6 months, right? It started going up to 2025, which is 4 times more per week of people, young people being, I even cannot say it. It's unbelievable. I really want to speak to all those parents, families who have their children or young relatives lost last year. Please get back to me. We will try to find you a way to get the truth. What are these unknown causes which they were not able to identify? Look, but instead of finding the cause, what they have done, look here, they removed the data. So the best way to deal with the problem or with the data is just to remove it. So instead of all those values which were there, remember from 10, 15, 20, remember after June, we see 10, 15, 20, 25. They stopped recording. Actually, it's incorrect what I said. They didn't stop. They erased what was there. And instead of those numbers which were there, they put NA not available, which is shown here as 0. So these, when the line goes down, it means that the data is empty or it's 0. So they put NA. So instead of adding more numbers and to show everyone what is actually happening there now, They just removed the numbers. And this was back in June last year. Now we're almost in June 2022. Back in December, in one of our first seminars, which at that time I was leading with my colleagues within Government of Canada, we noted that the delay in reporting deaths increased from 1 month to 2 months to 3 months. So back in November, they were reporting deaths only for August. Now we are in May, and they're reporting deaths still for November only last year. So I thought I need to check this. So I ran my little code just to find out exactly when is the last date when the value, meaning some number, was entered into a database, into a data set for each province. Because really I want to know, for each province we have 10 provinces and each of them enters data separately. So when is the last day when they entered a number? So the code in our language, it's one line of code. So, and the code is shown at the bottom of the screen. And it would show you that for all Canada, so these are the dates when the last entry was entered. And you see it's different. For example, for Prince Edward Island, it's on the 11th of 12. So they were typing something up till 11th of December. For Nova Scotia, they did it till 23rd of October. New Brunswick, look, they had it till 27th of November. This is the same date which I used last month. In Quebec, up to January, Ontario, December. Now, Manitoba, you would see stopped recording back in March last year. We don't know why, because it's now more than a year. And some people were saying they had a problem with the computer system. For more than a year, if they cannot fix the problem with the computer system, I think they should just hire someone else to do this. And there are many people right now without pay who would be very good in fixing this problem. If you have IT problem or you have a data visualization problem, all right? So the province which is most up to date in entering the numbers is British Columbia. So they have data up to 5th of March. Now, okay, so we are focusing on New Brunswick because that's where we found a peak in deaths. So then the next line of code tells me, and this is the line how it looks, show me the numbers which are real numbers, not just not available, for New Brunswick. And show me by age, And then it shows you by all age groups in here. And you would see that it was 1127, and only for this group from 0 to 44, the last number was entered on the 5th of June instead of the way it used to be last month. So they put MAs everywhere. Okay, you know what? How much more do Canadians need evidence to see that the government is doing something? I don't know what the verb I should use. Is it called manipulation? Is it called tuning? Is it called nitpicking? Is it called validating, verifying data? And until the data is fully endorsed by communications department or by someone else, they cannot share this data specifically for this category and specifically for this province and specifically for the time when it really went over the roof, killing young people. It's again, to me, this is like seeing your a building, your school, a theater where you would go in Kiev, bombarded with a missile. And I was calling my friend, my classmate in Kiev, and he was driving around with the car, and I was just asking him, can you just show me some pictures? And he was just driving around with the car, and I saw this building where I used to walk from my house home or to school. And it's a huge hole in this huge residential building. And I'm showing this picture now. I took this picture from on my phone, and I'm showing it to my relatives who live in Russia. Look what you have done. And they say, it's fake, Dmitry. Why did you find this image? Why are you showing it to me? They cannot believe it. So people have such strong beliefs that it seems to me that unless it's your relative who dies, or it's yourself, essentially, who would experience this, you will just not believe that people are being killed either by a missile in Kiev or by something else, a mysterious information not available cause, which they have introduced with the pandemic. I have no words, because it doesn't matter how much you keep talking about it. Okay, I'm recording these seminars. Some people would watch them, but what I found that people who are watching these videos, they already know something, and in most cases, they already know enough to understand that something horribly bad is happening in this country. Specifically, the way, I even don't know what is the word for it again. Is it fraud? Is it criminal activity? Is it just lack of diligence? Whatever. But the phenomenon is different. I'm even not talking about the numbers here. I'm talking about the population of Canada, how many of people who just don't want to look at these numbers. And they would talk to me and say, Dmitry, it's because of you people are dying now of COVID. They're not taking vaccines, for example. And you know what it tells me? It's exactly what my friends and relatives in Russia were telling me. Dmitry, it's because of these Ukrainians. You know, we now have to do this military operation. They don't call it war. They call it military operation to cleanse Ukrainians from these terrorist extremists. And in Canada, we now need to, for the sake of saving country from COVID or from extremists, we now need to do whatever. I'm speechless. This is what really is a huge puzzle for me, how to reach to those people who are not following me on YouTube or Twitter yet, and who are not reading these newsletters. Because I send this newsletter to many people who I know personally. And I think the best way to try to communicate it is just by face-to-face communication. Let's go together to this data. And by the way, I did go to there's a way to get cached data. I'll show it to you quickly, and then we'll get back to this discussion on how to talk to your neighbors and politicians. It's very important. We do need to talk everyone, not talk to those who already know about these killings of people, but those who do not know about it. So the data has been archived. There is actually, I archive it myself, but anyone can do it just from there is a website called Web Archive, webarchive.org. And I just went there and I downloaded and I put all those files in GitHub, so anyone can go there. It's been loaded right now in there, and you would see I just loaded zip files from March, April, the one which was used in my original plot shown to you last month, and the new one. Open this file and see where the data is gone. It's gone only where it needed to be gone, where it needed to be raised, only in this portion, right? So, okay, I created a newsletter. I invite everyone to subscribe, to share it with everyone. I invite everyone, when you see your candidate for political party, whoever political party, talk to them about this truth. Even refer to CBC, because some people don't trust anyone but CBC. Okay, start from there. Go to this CBC article and talk to your candidate, political party candidate. What are they going to do about those killings happening? Potentially, that is still happening, because their life didn't end in November last year. They stopped recording it in November, but the life continued, right? So most likely, what was happening there before November, most likely it's happening still. They just do not report it. They just don't plot the numbers here, right? So that's what we have written in here. Additionally, we have also provided a couple of other points for you for your discussion with the politicians or with your friends. This is not the first time Government of Canada sources are skewing the data. I use this word skewing or introducing the bias into, but actually this is not the bias anymore. This is like, it's really, you just erase the data. You still can call it bias, of course, but bias is more subtle than that. They did bias in, you could click on bias when we talk about that, counting COVID deaths before we had any fully vaccinated, right? Just to skew the result so it looks better, right? But again, very importantly, it's not happening in Canada only. Right now, we have data from United States, and this is the data. Look here, they have also for the same Q3, quarter three, they have twice as many deaths for younger population, for otherwise healthy, low risk population happening in United States. It's official report from Society of Actuaries, page 23. Go and look at yourself. There is also a dashboard on the official website, which you could also allows you to show excess deaths by age. Now there is also data from United Kingdom. I will add a link here as well. And we do have this data also on our GitHub. So on GitHub, I'm putting all useful data I'm putting there just in case, because you never know what the governments are going to do. Some of them just erase it, some of them remove it. So we have data from United Kingdom, for example, where you would see mortality by age. Very nice Excel document, which has been prepared by my colleague in United Kingdom. And it shows you the same statistics of younger people dying more after vaccination than before vaccination. So what we have, as they say, what's the point of doing all those measures if those measures, whatever they are, increase mortality, in particular in healthier, younger population, right? Okay, so that was the point of this week. Next week, we have meetings with the candidates for Ontario. Go and talk to them. Please, talk to all of them. Talk to your neighbors. Ask them, is it legal? How can we justify? What are the legal or ethical means to justify just removing this data? Okay? So thank you for watching. And again, please let me know how can we communicate to people who are not watching these seminars or these YouTubes. All right. Have excellent weekend, everyone. It's a long weekend in Ottawa. We have lots of tulips. blooming everywhere. Please, everyone, stay safe. And the best way is to be outdoors, enjoy life, do sports without masks. You will feel better. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you next week. Bye. And for those who are on Zoom, I will stop recording and we can chat. Just hold on. I'll need to push the button